call to order the Monterey Salinas Transit Board of Operations Performance Committee meeting. Today is Monday, June the 9th. Can we have a roll call, please?
In City of Carmel by the Sea.
Here.
City of Gonzales.
Here.
City of King. City of Marina.
Here.
City of City of Pacific Grove.
Here.
City of Salinas.
Here.
And Lady Chair, you have a phone.
All right, very good. Thank you. All right, public comments on matters not on the agenda. Members of the public may address the committee on any matter related to the jurisdiction of MST, but not on the agenda. There is a time limit of not more than 3 minutes for each speaker. The public is encouraged to engage in respectful dialogue that supports freedom of speech and values diversity of opinion. Failure to engage in respectful dialogue will result in speakers being muted or required to leave. The committee will not take action or respond immediately to any public comments presented, but may choose to follow up at a later time, either individually, through staff, or on a subsequent agenda. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to address the committee? Seeing none in the chambers, do we have anyone on Zoom? Doesn't look like it. Anyone from the public? All right, I will close public comments and move on to the consent agenda. Do I have any questions related to the minutes of the April 14th meeting from the committee? No, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Okay, moving on to action items. For one, review of operations performance, and that is Mr. Sidorik.
Thank you, Chair. MST, your ridership has, after experiencing several years of double-digit growth, is now relatively flat on a year-to-year basis. But still, I mean, instead of double-digit growth, in April we showed 4% growth, which is still growth, right? It's just not the 10, 12, 14%. So we're starting to either see reaching capacity given the service hours that we're providing. Or we've done a little bit of digging. We have seen in the Salinas Valley a greater decrease in ridership year to year in the Salinas Valley than we've seen on the peninsula. We're not sure why that is. There is, been since the timing of this flattening started in February, which was at the same time that there was some ice activity first reported in South County, and then you've seen more news about it all around the country. And the question among staff is there a fear of some of our passengers of just going out in using transit or going out in general? We don't know. It's just the timing of this moving from double-digit growth to single-digit or more flattening of growth is curious. We will be doing some passenger surveys this year. I know we signed the contract. When is that happening, or is it happening?
Early September.
Early September, we'll be going out into the community doing face-to-face interviews with our passengers as we do every other year. And we'll see if anything reveals itself at that time about ridership habits. You'll see, I think it's important to note that our fixed route performance, we're 85% of our trips are on time. And I know we take a lot of heat about the MST Rides program. MST Rides program is 85.4% on time. Yeah. So, and that's been consistent for, I'm going to say, probably 6 months or more. MST NMB was having difficulty hiring enough drivers, and that has been, for the most part, while we're still struggling, we're not critically short anymore. As we've hired more drivers and with more in the normal part of employment, we've seen our on-time performance, less canceled trips. I think what's impressive about the MST rides, 85.4%, is they're on demand anytime, day or night, during traffic. Whereas our fixed routes, we attempt to account for high traffic periods in our scheduling. We know when the traffic is, and we can account for that in scheduling our buses. Whereas the rides program can't do that. They're on demand. So the fact that they're performing at that level, as much as sometimes it's easy to throw shade at our contractor on some of their services, I think this is something worth noting that they're
Doing a
delivering.
Good job.
So with that, you have your monthly report with all of our stats. I'd be happy to, go over any of that or answer any questions. I just thought those were the things that were worth noting.
I have one quick question, and that's related to the survey that we're gonna do in September. Based on what's going on, I wonder if that is going to diminish the survey too.
Well, we'll continue surveying. So we do our surveys, we want a statistically valid sample. So it's a 90% confidence plus or minus 5%, I think is what we shoot for in that range. So in order to get that in statistics, you have to have a certain population size. So we'll just keep on surveying until we get to that number. And then we also attempt to survey it so that we have a higher representation of survey responses on the busiest routes and a lower representation on the smallest routes. So it's more indicative of what the attitudes and opinions are on the routes that people are actually riding. One thing I did leave out, because we were speaking of April results, but this happened in May and early June. We did complete construction of all of our, after 2+ years, a 3-year project, 49 new ADA accessible bus stops in Gonzales, Soledad, Greenfield, and King City at a cost of $939,000 in construction and design and permitting fees, MST. So sometimes you also hear that MST spends too much of its resources in the larger urban areas than in the smaller communities. But I think this demonstrates we are making commitments throughout the county. And given the size of these communities, it's unusual in rural communities to see this level of investment in bus stops and ADA improvements. If you look at other communities of similar size to the South County cities, say in the Central Valley, you may not see that level of investment. So I think your board, by directing us to do this through the Better Bus Network, and our staff putting this through, has really stepped up to serve a community who really needs the service.
Yeah. Anything else, sir?
That completes it. And this time I mean it.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, are there any questions from the committee? No, seeing none. Okay, I'll open this up to the public. Is there anyone from the public that has questions? I see none in the chamber and I see none on Zoom. So I will close the public comment. And thank you, Carl, for that information. Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 4.2. Receive SURF busway and bus rapid transit project updates, and that is Lisa Reinheimer.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I am here to give you some updates on the SURF busway and bus rapid transit project, and I'm happy to report that things are moving along. Although not terribly visible to the public, we did sign a construction contract with Granite Rock Myers successfully. And part of that work includes some behind the scenes stuff that the public will definitely not see, including a whole host of submittals like the quality control, quality assurance plan, executing subcontracts for the parts that they won't self-perform, including setting up the staging yard and offices in Marina, installing construction area fencing, which will be visible to the public, verifying utilities, potholing, establishing surveying control, setting up water sources, that kind of thing to control dust. So all these things really help them mobilize their efforts to be on the ground and doing construction work. We're also, at the same time, you may see on the branch line, the railroad track area, that there are environmental surveys that are going on, which are required prior to construction, including biological, looking for plants, animals, that kind of stuff that may be sensitive that we need to protect. And then also, this is a big word for me, so paleontological work, as in dinosaurs and fossils and all kinds of fun stuff. So we're looking for that kind of thing as well. So a lot of work happening. There's mostly all the work in the city of Marina is cleared, except for the, as you've heard, the lawsuit against TMC with the hand cars. They're still there. So until they can move out, that area is not quite available to the early work that we need to do, but the work at the Fifth Street Station area is available for the contractor to begin work there. And we'll be clearing all the rest of the prior to construction clearances here shortly. So a lot of work starting in, I'd say, August, September. You're going to start seeing a bit more, construction bulldozers and all sorts of heavy equipment out there as we move this project forward. That's all I had. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Lisa. Anyone have any questions?
Yes, without looking at your paper, can you spell that word?
Paleontolical. I did not look at the paper. I think that's right. But I was never in a spelling bee, but thank you for giving me the anxiety for it.
You're supposed to ask,
You did the sentence?
yes. Yeah, you're supposed to ask for the root derivation and all that other
No,
stuff.
no,
when
no.
you think about it.
The real question is, can you spell it?
No,
Did you tell her she was right or wrong?
I can't even say it.
That's why I said it was a big word.
Yeah,
Mr. Emilio has a question.
yeah. Lisa, just, I know it's probably monitored anyway, but the indigenous
Yes.
tribes will be,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, in fact, what we did was we contacted local tribes to see if they would be interested in monitoring. We did not get a response. So as part of the subcontract work for the construction management oversight, we've hired a firm that does that work, and they're very well qualified. So during ground disturbing activities, they will be on site to make sure and monitor that
Thank you.
there are, if we find remains, that they're dealt with properly, and hopefully we won't.
And the reason given, as Michelle and I actually did a lot of the outreach to the tribes, it was a condition of getting our federal grant. We had to make certain that we made all these documented, and at least the ones I spoke with, said, this has been disturbed area since the 1880s. And there was just not, they didn't think there was anything new there since it was already dug up over 100 years ago. So, and multiple times since then, as improvements have been made throughout those decades. So anyway. It's not that they don't care, they just didn't think that there was a good use of their time.
No question, but I just would like to thank Lisa and the entire team for working so hard in getting this realized. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Anyone
I will
else?
be happy on March 31st, 2028. I will reserve my happiness until then. That's when vehicle revenue service is required by the Federal Transit Administration to be delivered. Yeah. Ahead of time under budget. That's what I'd like to do.
Anyone else have a question or comments? Yes, ma'am.
One last thing, June 28th,
Mhm.
we have a groundbreaking ceremony at 2:00. Yes, it is on a Saturday. It should be loads of fun. It's going to be at the Fifth Street Station area.
I already RSVP.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for your report. Does anyone have any questions? Any more questions? Anyone from the public have any questions regarding this? I don't see anyone on Zoom and no one in the room. So close public comment and move on to item number 4.3. Receive update on East LSL Bus Rapid Transit feasibility and Salinas Transit Center relocation. and that's Emma Patel.
Morning, members of the committee. Emma Patel, Planning Manager. Last summer, MST was awarded the Caltrans Sustainable Transportation Planning Grant to study bus rapid transit along the East Alisal corridor, as well as the feasibility of relocating the Salinas Transit Center. Earlier this year, we selected Kimley Horn as our consultant for the project. Next slide, please. So this project would play into MST's regional vision of BRT throughout the county. During the Better Bus Network outreach process, the community overwhelmingly shared that they would prefer more fast and frequent service to key destinations. Our passengers rely on the bus to get to places like work, to school, as part of their daily life. So reliable transportation is imperative. One way to achieve this is through BRT. The SURF BRT is currently in progress. The Marina Salinas Multimodal Corridor is a current TAMC project where they're working on improvements along Imjin Road. As funding becomes available, we're able to study additional places for BRT. So the next phase would be the Salinas Alisal Corridor. As I previously mentioned, this has been made possible through a grant from Caltrans. The city of Salinas and Taylor Farms have also given local matches for this project. Next slide, please. There are two objectives to the project. The first one is identifying strategies to enhance transit speed, reliability, and ridership along East Alisal through BRT. And the second is assessing the feasibility of relocating STC closer to East Alisal. Next slide, please. So why the East Alisal corridor? 30% of the city of Salinas' population lives along Alisal, and of this population, over 1/3 of residents live in poverty. This location, a portion of Alisal also has the highest Callan virus screen score in Monterey County, with a score of 84. Next slide, please. East Alisal is a key east-west connector in Salinas, connecting residents from their homes to jobs. It's served by lines 41, 42, and 47. Lines 41 and 42 have some of our highest ridership system-wide. In April, just under 20% of total ridership was on lines 41 and 42. Because of the congestion along this corridor, these lines also have some of the worst on-time performance in our system. Next slide, please. The second objective of the study is relocating the Salinas Transit Center. The Salinas Transit Center currently has 9 gates and 18 lines that serve STC, so we're at capacity. The location of STC is also at the northern end of downtown, so it's somewhat disconnected from Alisal. The city of Salinas is also interested in redeveloping this block, and they've asked MST to look at additional places where we can move STC. Next slide, please. Because of the high ridership along Alisal, this project has the potential to impact a lot of people, so public outreach is going to play a big role in this project. We're breaking public outreach into 3 phases. The first phase is going to focus on collecting input on the project and understanding existing challenges. Some of the activities during this phase will be a community walk along the site, the corridor, and focus groups. The second phase will focus on collecting feedback on the corridor concept, and some of the activities will include community meetings and online surveys. The final round of public outreach will focus on sharing the draft plan and collecting feedback. Next slide, please. Later this month, we will be having our official kickoff meeting. The City of Salinas and Caltrans will be attending this meeting. Throughout the project, we'll be having 4 technical advisory committee meetings. The first one will be this summer, and they'll go through next summer. The technical advisory committee will consist of members from MST, TAMC, the City of Salinas, and the Salinas Downtown Association. Public outreach is expected to begin late summer, early fall of this year, and it'll go through fall of 2026. This project is expected to run through fall of 2026, when we'll be bringing the final plan back to your board. Next slide, please. we're looking forward to starting this project, and that concludes my presentation, but I can answer any questions.
Very good. Thank you, Emma. Anybody have any questions from the committee? I have one comment, and maybe Tony can fill me in on this. Does that population group, are they okay with the internet, or, because I know in Gonzales, we have quite a few people that don't look at the internet, don't participate. So we have to find other ways to do surveys and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
You want me to answer?
yes, please.
You know what, when I hear these words, poverty, disadvantage, did you know East Salinas, the poor side of town, the non-educated, there's $5 million that comes to the general fund from East Salinas. $5 million.
It's the largest
From-
source.
From downtown, which is great, it's a beautiful downtown, 360,000 to the same piggy bank. But we don't get the services that we deserve. We're considered poverty, undocumented, we're considered, well, they don't vote. But we're the hardest working population and the highest density of Salinas. 63,000 people.
And this study will be the launching point for us to provide a level of
Yeah,
investment
yeah.
to that. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine, but to your point, for quite a while now, we've been talking about internet coming through from Hartnell College on Homestead to Alisal. Hartnell College was on the other side of town. It stopped at the police station, so which is in Alisal, but it stopped, and so we're really working on that. As far as education, internet, a lot of our young people are taking over mom and dad's business. They use the internet. Did you know Alisal High School, and forgive me, but I gotta give you this
No, it's good.
history on this. It was Alisal High School has a waiting for students that want to attend that school. For whatever reason, they want to attend Alisal High School. There's a waiting line for that.
They have a strong tech department.
There's strong tech, strong sports,
Yeah.
passionate teachers. But I think when you say cities, the city, who's the city staff that was working with you? Ms. Patel?
For our technical advisory committee, we have the city engineer, Adriana, will be part of the TAC.
Yeah, and I think if I may, not that I'm not being kept in the loop, but I would like to know what's going on. Because internally, politically, there's people that aren't too excited about these projects, and I want to make sure that I stay on top of that. So please keep me informed. Thank you.
We can, as you have meetings or if there's a quarterly update, we can do a report to the board just as part of the board packet.
Yeah.
And would that be sufficient, or do you need something more?
No,
than that?
no, that's enough, because I think the rest of the board is important that they hear as well.
Yeah. We don't like that term disadvantaged at all.
No.
Unfortunately, that's the term
I
that
know
we're
it
given,
is.
and it generates,
You're right.
it generates funding for us, and I get it.
Yes, it does.
I
So
get it too, but
it's
I don't
it's
like
the
it.
words we're given, and yeah, it's not, meant to be pejorative.
No. But sometimes East Salinas is viewed as the missionaries coming to address the Indians, really, like, they start talking to us like, do you understand what I'm saying? It's a hardworking population out there, hardworking, highly educated children. But sometimes we're treated like that, like we're kind of,
Step children,
and
stepchildren.
I'm sorry, but those kind of words, and yeah, to
Yeah.
Mr. Sadori's point, I can understand, because those bring in revenue, but it keeps that oppression, because we do need the revenue, so we use those words.
So, I think point taken will be, as we speak to the community,
Yeah,
we don't have to use the words that the states give us. We could use a little different word, kind of marketing, if you will. And
Good.
you know, then when we translate our reports back to the state, we can use their words. So I would,
I
you
like
know,
that.
so we don't
I
we
appreciate
don't want
that
to
too.
turn turn off the folks that we want to speak to by, you know, using words that they don't like.
Yeah.
So I think we can find a way, when we're speaking to the community, to choose our words a little differently and not use the bureaucratic
Mhm.
techno speak that we're required to, and, you know, use that when we need to, use different words in different, and so that can be done.
Thank you.
I appreciate that too.
Yeah.
Because from a South County perspective, it's, you know, those are the terms that are used and it's.
I understand.
And I get it, I
Yeah.
understand too, but a lot of people don't, so.
If I could add one quick thing that's not only tangentially related to this, is I just wanted to announce that our very own Emma Patel was one of about 30 transit professionals, young transit professionals, selected by the American Public Transportation Association to be included in this year's Emerging Leaders Program, which is a extensive program. We'll give her all sorts of background and experience in all aspects of the industry, working with people from all around the country. So we're happy to have her
Very
participate.
nice.
Congratulations.
I know, speaking from someone who's watched you grow, I think that is fantastic, because we've kind of watched you grow as a representative, so congratulations, Emma. Okay, does anyone? Yes.
Yes. Yeah, congratulations. I'm not surprised.
No.
Very good. Yeah,
Oh.
no, really. And so do you have a suggestion for a different word to use? Because whatever we call it, we know there are people who are are disadvantaged.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that this project is happening, because these are the people.
Well, when
that-
you're speaking to the public, you don't even have to use any words like that. You
You're gonna
just talk
say-
to them like you would talk to somebody in
But-
Latina.
Yeah, there we go. No, I know it's the same issue for our city.
Yeah.
Some people
I
really
love
do
it.
not like that. But I really like that this project is happening,
Me too.
because whatever we call it,
Mm.
people, we know life is not fair.
Yeah.
And whatever we can do to make it a little bit more fair.
Mhm.
to-
Very
Yeah.
good.
So,
Thank you, Lisbeth.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Mr.
Yeah.
Amelia.
Gonna make a comment, Emma. I've seen some of your memos come through the city of Pacific Grove, and just excellent. I just want you to know they're super, and compliments to you.
Very good. Anyone else have anything? Okay, I'd like to open this up to the public. Is there anyone from the public that has a comment or question relating to this? See none on Zoom or in the chamber. Thank you so much, Emma. I'll close public comment. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, item number 4.4, receive update on MST safety and risk. And this is Jared Augusta. Hi, Jared.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
Morning, Madam Chair. Well, how are you?
Good.
Morning, members of the board. All right, I'm here to present to you a safety and risk update. Next slide, please. So this chart is from page 41 of your monthly report. What this chart shows is the miles traveled between preventable collisions directly related to your vehicle revenue miles. This is over the previous 13 months. What you see here essentially is the minimum requirement, which is your red line from FTA, and then MST's goal. So the FTA requirement is 100,000 vehicle revenue miles traveled between preventable collisions. Our goal is to travel 200,000 miles between preventable collisions. What you see here too is essentially, if you add up all 13 months, we've traveled 1,775,000 miles with collision free. Also, over the last 13 months, 10 months have been above the minimum threshold, and then 2 have been above the goal of the 200,000 mile mark. 3 months below the 100,000 mile. I will note that those are during May, June, and July, which typically are our higher collision months because of the influx of tourists and motorists into the peninsula, and also with the influx of seasonal workers, migrant workforce into the valley. So we do see that. Also, those are the months that are typically rain-free. which you would think that during inclement weather, we would have more accidents, but rain-free months means road construction's occurring out there in the system. And so sometimes that also, gives us other troubles that occur. So between the, heavier traffic and then, the nice weather where we just have all these people on our roadways, we do see more collisions on those months. Next slide, please. Interesting. Okay, so this chart right here is from page 43 of your monthly report. This is preventable collisions by type. What you see here is a lot of nice colors that dictate essentially where accidents are happening. So the first one is within collisions. That's your orange that you see. And I will note that that's actually gone down quite a bit since the last time I presented the board, I believe in January. And then the next one is the 16 collision mirror hit swipes. And I believe I have a hard time seeing this far, but I believe that's your green, if I'm not mistaken. And then you have 9 collisions in the public, that's your blue, and then your tail swing collisions, and that's your real dark color you can see at the top. Me making a quick glance at this slide, what I see is that accidents are trending down. So you can see, as you did in the previous chart, that from December of 24 till now, accidents have been trending downwards. We did have, and if you kind of match these two charts together, we did have that high number last July, which I believe was 8 preventable collisions. So there's been a strong effort to mitigate and reduce accidents, and that's sort of what you're seeing here since that last July, per the safety committee, as well as just our general directive and support through post-accident retraining and annual update training. Next slide, please. So this chart is from page 44 of your monthly report, and this is your non-preventable collisions by type chart. Essentially, this is when other motorists hit us, which you can see does happen quite frequently. We are operating large vehicles, so it's not uncommon for us to get tangled in, even though it's not our fault. They do happen. And I would say that's because of our exposure window. We're on the roads more than anyone. So I'm sure you guys all see the buses out there frequently, but we have greater exposure than like your regular typical motorist that's traveling to and from work. So we do have accidents that occur. Typically, the high number for the collisions in public is true. Those are the ones that are happening in intersections. They're happening during turns. They're happening as the vehicle is in transit. The mirror hits, what you see, those 16 are the ones where we're at a bus stop and we're getting hit sort of typically mirror to mirror. Yeah. And I would say of those 16, there's very little swipes. Swipes are frequently uncommon. They do happen, but most of those are mirror hits, probably 15 or 14 out of the 16. Next slide, please. Okay, so I wanted to give you a snapshot of the workplace violence data log. We actually enacted this July 1st, 2024 was the SB 553 law that took place where we had to begin tracking all of the workplace violence incidents. And this is just a little snapshot. And on the next slide, please, I'll show you some of the data that we've collected. Okay, so and before I go into what's happening out there with the key takeaways, I do want to note that as of July 1st of 2024, we were required and mandated per Cal OSHA to provide all MST employees with training in prevention and de-escalation and awareness that this is occurring. We've done that. And then this year, we're currently ongoing our training. We actually attended an NTI course where it was a train the trainer, and we've created our own training program, which is titled Workplace Violence, Response, Recovery, and Prevention, whereby we're teaching folks in MST about essentially deadly weapons events and random acts of violence and how to prevent, respond, and recover from these incidents from when they happen. So to date, we have 132 staff members of approximately 250 that have been trained. What you see here is the 16 occurrences that have happened since July 1st. You can see that one involved an employee being spit on, unfortunately, very egregious and vile, but it did happen. We also have one occurrence that involved employee feeling threatened by aggressive behavior. That incident was basically an individual banging on the bus trying to gain entry and the driver not letting him in and feeling uncomfortable because of just the body language and the aggressiveness of the passenger. The next one that you see here is the harsher of the 16, which is the two employees that were punched in the face since July 1st of 2024. And then we do have 12 occurrences that involved employees being verbally threatened. The sort of catalyst of the training right now is that the physical assaults are the tip of the iceberg. Essentially, there's a lot below the waterline, and that's related to these occurrences where people are being verbally threatened of bodily injury or harm. And so what the nice thing is in capturing all this data in the log is that we're actually seeing some of what the root causes are that are leading to these more severe events. And the thought process is if we can capture the data, look at the root causes that are occurring, we can try to put up blockades and preventive measures to mitigate these more severe incidents from occurring. An example of that is earlier this year, we actually found that there was I'll call him habitual offender who was involved in 3 of those 12 occurrences. Essentially what we found out was that there was some cognitive disability there, but also we were able to bridge the gap between our mobility department and social services to get this person a courtesy card, because what was occurring was sort of misidentification of whether or not the person was qualified for a discounted fare. And so by bridging that gap and getting this person an occurrence card, we haven't had, knock on wood, any occurrences related to him because drivers are easily able to identify that he gets a discount, he's entitled to that, and there's no argument. So those are the types of things in the example I wanted to present to you that we're trying to look at to try to get ahead of these occurrences and try to prevent them in totality. Next slide, please. Okay, so I can't go into too much detail here, but I do want you to know that MST has received 6 claims since January 1st. I'm now tracking the claims as they come in as far as the calendar year as well as the month that they come in, because I want to see if that relates to our collision data. I also want you to know that currently right now we have 9 open claims, 6 of which are bodily injury claims and 3 of which are property damage claims. Key takeaway here that I can tell you is that property damage claims typically are resolving quickly, which is good. We get through those quickly and we have a low number on our open claims. And then we're not seeing a huge, double-digit number in the bodily injury claims, which means those are also staying low and that we don't have a lot of cases that are lingering on in litigation. Next slide, please. And I will leave you with my favorite note, which is our subrogation recoveries. Since July 1st of 2024, I have recovered $94,502.99 for MST, where we were hit by a vehicle and we had a loss related to property damage and we were able to recover those funds. Next slide, please. I don't have anything else, and I just thank you all for your time. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them for you.
Wow. That's really interesting, really good. Does anyone from the committee have a question? Yes, Mr. Barrera.
I know you have security there. How effective is your security individuals there?
So I will tell you, we get a lot of requests for video from local jurisdictions. Salinas is obviously the heaviest one because of the population density and the frequency there. But our security as well, we have security guards on site. We have the facilities cameras. We have and this is kind of where I'm going. We have the security video on the buses. And so we capture a lot of what's going on out there. Even if it's not related to us, sometimes we get requests if there is a carjacking or, there was that bad accident on the Alisal corridor earlier this year. We actually were able to get that license plate for the PD and provide that as evidence that the vehicle was in the scene when that motorist versus pedestrian fatality occurred earlier this year. So I would say that security overall is fairly well. Related to kind of backing up and prefacing a little bit, you talking about workplace violence, right?
Well, your drivers that are being impacted.
Yes.
In different ways.
Yes.
That's what I'm concerned about.
Absolutely. So yeah, and that's exactly where I was leading into. So security wise, we do have a new city guard is going to be taking over for Allied, and that's happening July 1st of this year. So we're looking for a better security service. That just happened through RFP. But I would say overall, we do really well. What does happen out there and what we're seeing related to those 16 occurrences is that we get targeted, random acts of violence. It's not necessarily the employee's fault because, hey, they don't want that to happen, of course, right? But there are instances occurring where there's a bad actor present, and because of maybe it's dark, maybe they feel like they can get away with it. They do something that's very aggressive. I will add though too that part of it is related to fare collection. That's what I am seeing trending in those 16 occurrences is a lot of confusion related to fare, as simple as it is, but it's more so those that are wanting the free ride. And in comparison, if it helps other transit agencies that are neighboring us, the way they go about stating the fare, it might be a little bit different. And so sometimes there's confusion when we have transients that are traveling north to south or south to north, just passing through, that are these bad actors as well. And so we're looking at that and trying to see how can we, better address that? How can we train operators to, better address that? One of the big things right now that we're doing in the workplace violence prevention training is telling them, don't talk about fare until you get behind the barrier. If you're walking from the facility to use the restroom to the bus and they approach you and say, hey, I need a ride, tell them, yeah, hold on a second. Let me get situated and let's talk, get behind your shield, get behind your barrier, and then have that conversation with them. Because some of these folks just, there's no warning, Tony. It just boom.
Yeah. I just have two more.
No, it's okay.
The moral support, and you're very good at this, but
Thank you.
I don't, if I'm the driver and somebody's threatening me, however that looks, I mean, it'll impact me. Now I have to continue driving.
Sure.
Being nice to other folks, but man, I just went through an experience.
Sure.
How do you check in with the driver that's, especially if somebody spits at me, I'm concerned what's in that spit,
So great question. And let me follow up with saying that SB 553 actually gave us the avenue for that, not only to document, but now what it's giving us is essentially the tools to investigate, right? Because it's required now that every time a threatening behavior, an abusive behavior, or a physical assault occurs, that's reported to us, because we can't do anything about the ones that aren't reported, but that is reported to us, we have to investigate. And we have 7 business days to do so. And as the workplace violence administrator for MST, I do that thoroughly and quickly. Part of that is asking a series of questions related to, did you need medical attention? Did you need a follow-up with counseling? And a lot of times what I'm telling these folks is, are you aware of our employee assistance program and that's an added benefit to you and that you are entitled to 6 counseling sessions a year at no cost to you? And just making sure, hey, these are the different types of services that are available to you. And then inside of the training too, as far as the recovery portion, we talk about this as well. And we talk about the peer-to-peer support and how important it is that, hey, maybe as a manager, they're not going to take it from me that when I say go seek EAP or go seek counseling, but you hear something that warrants that, hey, this person really needs help, then you also tell them, because drivers love to talk to each other, right? And that's where they seek a lot of, open opportunity to vent and to get support. And so we talk about that, and we're talking about how you get back into the seat, because we don't want anyone to get hurt whereby, first of all, they get hurt, but second of all, it impedes them from earning and being a part of the organization, because this is impactful to the organization in a whole.
And just my last question, how?
Kelly has her hand raised.
Oh.
There's
Jared, who works in my department, is working with the employees directly, and then I'm working with ATU. So also with ATU International. ATU International has picked up one of their campaigns for the last 2 years has been reducing workplace violence and driver assault. And they did a study and found that 99% of the driver assaults, and we're talking physical assaults, not talking about threatening behavior, is due to the driver being outside of the seat. So that's why we're trying to train about being behind the barrier, because that reduces significantly a physical assault against a driver. In addition, we are also trying to, one of the things that Jared and my staff is trying to cover with the drivers is that we want them, when Salinas PD in particular, or Monterey PD come on the scene to take care of this issue or to assist, is when they're asked, do you want to press charges? It's always a yes instead of no. Because the fact is that some of these individuals are repeat offenders. And so they do this to you, they're going to likely do it to another one of your coworkers. So every time that we have a driver who does not move forward with pressing charges or saying that they want to press charges, that I am letting the HU leadership know so that they can go have a conversation with their drivers to let them know how imperative, how important it is for them to take advantage of that and to press charges, as well as Marzette has implemented some strategies of getting the drivers in the seat and actually providing them a ride down to the PD stations to file reports and whatnot, so that we can get ahead of this.
And since you brought, my last question was on Salinas Police Department, huh? Are we pretty responsive when you call us for an emergency?
No.
Yeah.
No. Now, and when I say no, it's a twofold thing.
Yeah.
So, one of the things is that we in our dispatch could do a better job of communicating when there's a serious issue. Two is that we are also training, Jared and my folks are training the staff to let them know when there's something serious happening. So there's keywords, terms to use so that Marzette staff knows, like, oh, this is super serious, and I'm going to use those keywords to let PD know, because that's what PD is requested. But we do find in general that be due to staffing, at Salinas PD is also, I mean, they're stretched, as you know. So we're not always the highest priority for them to get to. They're dealing with other issues within the city.
Along those, let me get your executive director a little bit nervous here. I'm having a meeting with the chief of police on other issues. Can I bring this up regarding MST not getting in a nice way? Not using the word disadvantage, but
So Tony, Carl has done an excellent job, and I've gone with him to a meeting or two of conveying these concerns with them. And Salinas PD has done a good job of also communicating to us what we need to do, like some of those strategies that I just shared with you. And they've also talked to us about their staffing issues that they have. So, we recognize, just like we are sometimes short-staffed, that they are short-staffed, and we have to do the best that we can at dealing with that. And, majority of some of the issues that we're calling them about actually take place at the Salinas Transit Center. But they're doing better.
don't look at her, Carl.
No. I would just to help Kelly out. I wouldn't be too hard on him until we have learned that we communicate that there's been a fare dispute
Okay.
over a $2 fare, when in fact somebody got spit on.
Yeah.
Or if we even say somebody got spit on, well, the Salinas PD may be dealing with something much greater going on. And in the meetings we had, I think the chief told us on that particular day, I think he had 6 officers in the whole of Salinas on the clock that day. So I think I would listen to him about staffing needs.
Yeah.
And we need to do a better job of communicating the direness of emergencies, but then in the whole And then it's, I think Salinas PD's almost looking at it like a triage, what's the most, we have 3 million people a day boarding our buses and we've had 16 incidences. Okay, so let's put that in perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not, but if you're that person getting punched though, you're the
Right.
person getting punched, it's important to you.
Absolutely.
So
It should be important to the police.
I wouldn't come down too hard. I see that Norm
Never
has
hard.
Norm
Have a nice
has
day.
his hand raised. Unfortunately, Norm had a family issue up in the Central Valley, and he wasn't able to make it to the meeting today, but he is participating and he has his hand raised. So Chair, if you may.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Norm?
Hello, everyone. Hope you can hear me. Norm Tutavuki, Chief Operating Officer. I just wanted to chime in on a couple of things that Kelly and Jared mentioned. We are training our operators as best we can. Both Marzette, myself, and the operations superintendents meet monthly at VTT, and in that meeting, we review the information that we receive directly from Monterey PD. We met with them almost a year ago and kind of talked about the issues that we were experiencing with getting the help that we need for our operators. They gave us some specific guidance, and we've been working through that guidance to deliver it to our coach operators and then also to our frontline staff. So the information that we're delivering now is, accurate. We don't kind of diminish what's happening out there in the field, so that we can give them the right information so they can react, appropriately, instead of saying, "Hey, I had an issue with somebody, at the front door." It's exactly what happened. I have an issue. They came to the front door. They threatened me, right? And so we're trying to use that training that we received from Monterey PD and just apply it across all of our frontline employees. Also wanted to chime in with the new security provider that we have that'll be starting July 1st. One of the things that we're excited about is they'll have body cams. We don't have that type of technology, and we think it's something that's going to help us get better at what we do. So we're looking forward to that as well. So wanted to thank Jared for introducing us, getting us together with the Monterey PD. Like I said, almost a year ago, we sat through that training, and it's been very helpful to us. So thank you for that.
And I interrupted Kelly. Was there anything else that you wanted to add?
I just want to add that, want to make it remind everybody that there is some pending legislation up at the state regarding violence against public transit employees that is moving forward in the legislative body. So we're very excited about that. One piece of that is that, we've done a lot of outreach to the local jurisdiction police departments, but the next point of advocacy that we need to move forward and work with is actually talking with the district attorney's office about how important it is to moving forward with charges and restraining orders and those type of things. And so I think that's the next step that MST will need to engage in is, the police can only do so much. They can arrest the individual, but it's really the district attorney's office that needs to move these cases forward.
So just one final thing, Jared, excellent presentation. I asked Jared, he gave this presentation to the executive leadership team earlier in the past year. And I said, this is stuff that our board needs to know, because he's really, he knows how much I love my stacked bar graphs, and I appreciate that. I live for those things. But I want to thank Jared for putting this together for you. And this is going to be a regular, at least twice a year, to your committee, updating you on safety as a priority. But other thing I know my staff knows is I love my statistics, and 1.7 million miles without any accidents.
Yeah, 1,000,000.
That is 70 trips around the world.
That's right.
Or as my favorite fictional bus driver growing up, Ralph Cramden, would have said, that's 6 round trips to the moon. So, and that's,
How about the main?
yeah, I know. I still watch it reruns though. I love that.
I do. If I may, I'm sorry. Safety barbecue is this month
Yeah.
for transit safety month. So it'll be every next Wednesday. This Wednesday will be TDA Monterey, right? And then we'll have the one in Salinas the following Wednesday. And then the last Wednesday of the month will be in King City. And so you're all invited. Absolutely.
We'll get invitations out if you want to show up. And
we're doing tri-tip sandwiches. It's going to be amazing. And I do want to just add one last thing, and then I'll step down. Talking to my colleagues that are in the similar, area as me as far as the workplace violence and stuff, they ask us, what are you doing in Salinas? Because it's amazing how you're so low and your incidents are so, minor. Not to downplay what we have, because it is serious and we take it very serious, but they ask us, what are you guys doing that we're not doing? What's in the water? So leave you with that.
Yeah, Jared, let me know what the next time in Salinas, I wanna invite the police chief. To
Okay.
come and have a tri-tip sandwich.
There you go. Also, Jared, if I may.
Yeah, there's a printout by the public table
We'll
right
get some
there.
donuts too.
Hey, everyone, we don't have a whole lot of time. I just want to make sure that the drivers are okay.
Absolutely.
Mentally, physically, all of that, because we just got new drivers and
Sure.
a new class, and we want to make sure that they're taken care of and that they're feeling confident and that they have all the support that they need. So I appreciate that.
And just so you know too, there's a mentorship program that's ongoing. This collaboration between ATU and MST is a new program that is related to exactly what you're talking about, is making sure not only do they have the management side, but they also have their peers, right? And the ATU leadership to turn to and say, hey, I don't know how to handle this, or I'm going through this, and what do I do, right? And so that's a strong avenue for that as well. And all new hires get the training at orientation. It's about an hour to 90 minutes, depending on questions, typically a lot of questions, but the workplace violence training is excellent. I spent a lot of time on it last year, getting it ready.
Thank you, Jared. Anybody else? And we only have 3 minutes till our next meeting, so I just want to make sure whatever the questions are. Anybody? All right, is there anyone from the public that has a question for Jared? So none, close public comment. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Jared. This
Thank
was
you.
Very, very.
Thank you, folks.
Informative.
Hey, Carl,
Yes, sir.
it used to be donuts, now it's pan dulce.
No, it's, oh, let's say. Okay.
Pan dulce.
Point taken. Thank you.
All right, well, wait a second, everybody, we need to. Okay, we need to adjourn. Okay, meeting's adjourned.